Hey guys, it's Jason with the Boardgame Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at an expansion that we've been waiting to arrive from Kickstarter for a long time, and that expansion is called Parks Nightfall. Parks Nightfall is an expansion to the game Parks from Keymaster Games. And what this is going to be doing is it's going to be adding some little tweaks to the game. Not going to change it a ton, but it's going to give you some campsites you can visit. It's going to give you different year-end goal cards, which is always cool. And it's going to give you some park cards with some instant actions, which has me intrigued. So let's go down to the table, see what's in this box. All right, so here is the Parks Nightfall expansion. This video is going to be a little different because we've already covered Parks. So in this one, we're just going to kind of show you what's in this, and I'm going to tell you how it enhances or changes the gameplay, if it does at all. So first thing you're going to get when you open the box, first let's look at this. This cover is beautiful, and inside that is an amazing picture. So Keymaster just goes above and beyond when it comes to production. You're going to get a nice linen finish rule book. It's going to show you how to set up the game, what all the cards do. It's going to have some solo instructions and all that stuff, which is pretty nice. There's going to be a quick guide, which is pretty nice. It's going to show you the campsite actions. It's going to show you some of the instants on the park cards, which we'll get into in a minute because it does change the game a little bit. You're going to have a campsite board, which is basically going to be where you're going to have your new goal cards, new year cards. You can put some tents here to be able to take advantage of that. You're going to have campsites, which are going to look like this. They're going to have a special action. This side's going to be active for season 1 and season 4. This side will be active for season 2 and season 3. So there's a whole bunch of different ones of these. I'm not going to go into the different actions, but they're pretty awesome. I will say this one right here is amazing. You can change in one sun for a wild 3 times or one water for a wild 3 times. That's pretty amazing. So that's going to go with the campsite, and I'll kind of tell you how it sets up here in a minute. You're going to have 4 of these little tent tokens, which you're going to use to keep track of when you're going camping. And you have an awesome game tray, just like the base game. Everything you need to play can sit right in here. Here's my favorite part of the whole thing. We're going to have some new park cards. So let's look at some of these. So they're going to have the same great artwork, but if you look down here, it's going to have the same criteria to visit it. So I need 2 trees and a sun, but now there's an instant bonus. So I could cash in 2 trees and a sun, and I can get 2 water. Or I could do this one, and I could take an extra park action. Or I could do this. There's this token, so I would need 1 tree, 1 water, and then 2 of any kind of token. I do all this, I can get a wild token. That is amazing. That definitely is something you need to do. So there's a whole bunch of different powers. You can get the camera. You can take a picture with a forest token. So good. I think there's 24 cards, if I'm not mistaken. They're all, it doesn't do, you don't have to know how to play these. It's the same rules, except now you're going to get a bonus action. And if you don't know what those do, they are right there. So everything you need to know is on this sheet. Last thing that this expansion has to offer is new year cards. So this is going to function similar to the base game. You're going to be trying to collect different parks with different criteria to score points. The difference between this one and the base game is, you know how many copies of the cards are in the game because you can see the little dots down here. So there's 2 of this card in the game, and you're going to have more opportunities to get cards in this one. So when you're playing the game, you're going to set up the campsite kind of like this. Let me make sure this is on the camera. So you're going to put the camping board here based on the number of players. Everybody would have their year card, and then you'll put the rest of them here. Then you're going to have 3 rando campsites. So let's just go ahead and move some stuff. So say I had this campsite, and my favorite campsite here. Set to the appropriate side. Right there. All right. And then up on the game board, you're going to have it set up. This one's going to be right in front of the trail end. Then you're going to skip a tile, then here, and then you're going to skip another tile here. If you're playing a certain player count, there's going to be one that goes here. All right, so when your camper gets to the tile, the trail location that has the tent, you have a couple options. You can use the tile like normal, just like normal parks. If there's weather on it, like a sun or a water or whatever, you can take that token and then take the action in the tile. Or you can take the tent And you can come down here to any of these 3 locations, take that action, or you can come over here in a 4-player game or more. There's 2 spots. You can draw 2 of these cards, keep one, so say I wanted to keep this one, and put the other one back down on the bottom. So throughout the game, you're going to be able to get more year cards and have more options to score points at the end of the game. This is the main difference in the game and these instants. It doesn't change the game a ton. I think when I played it a couple times, I was maybe the only person using the tent, and we had this space out in our game. I don't think we ever used any of the other spaces that were out. We only ever used this one. The tents were there for an option if we wanted to use. I think maybe somebody went here as well. But you don't have to use them. It's just another option to give the game a little more depth. So that's what's in the Parks Nightfall expansion. Let's go up the top, see what we think about it. All right, well, that was the Parks Nightfall expansion. Again, I didn't do an overview because I've covered the game on our channel before. So I'll put a link up here, I think, or up here somewhere of the overview of the video that we've covered for Parks. So you can kind of see how the game works to see if maybe it's a game for you or if this is going to add a ton to that game. So let's talk about what this does. So as you can see from the when I was down at the table showing everything off, it's going to add a new element, which is the campsites. So what that's going to let you do is when you go to a trail, you can either decide to take the action on the trail space, or you can move the tent down, set up camp, and take the action down on the campsite. Once you've taken the action on the campsite, though, no one else can use that campsite action for the rest of the round, which is pretty cool. So you're trying to decide, how badly do I want to use the tile on the trail, or do I really need to use that campsite action, which is pretty neat. Again, doesn't change the game a ton, but it gives you some extra decisions to make when you're walking down the trail. The other thing I really like is the new year-end cards. So it's going to give you ways to get more of them. You're going to be able to go to this little board here and get some new year-end cards. Draw 2, keep 1. Just, it's always good to have your in-game goals and in-game scoring, because maybe you'll have a card that you picked at the beginning of the game and it just never panned out for you. So maybe you can go here, get a couple more, and maybe one of them will score, which is pretty cool. But the best thing is, in my opinion, the instant actions on the park cards. I mean, yes, it doesn't change the game a ton. It doesn't even, like, you don't even have to explain the game any differently, but it gives you more incentive to go do some of the lower point parks, because maybe they have an action that you want. So I don't know. This one is, I love this one because you can complete this guy and get a wild token, which is cool. And I didn't talk about this when I was doing the game down on the table, but in this one it says that you should make all of the wild tokens be worth 2 tokens. And we did that, and it makes the game way cooler. It makes them way more powerful, and I wouldn't recommend playing with the expansion as those being 1 token. You definitely want them to be 2, because it makes it a little more interesting and makes it so you have more stuff that you can purchase, which is cool. So this game this expansion has great production, linen finished rulebook, beautiful art on cards. I mean, it's the same art that's in the base game of all these beautiful parks around America. Just so awesome. Gorgeous art. Production is top notch. Game tray insert, which didn't need to have it because this is an expansion, but it does, and it's awesome. I can't say enough about it. Even art on the inside of the box. I mean, come on, you didn't have to do that. That's just a bonus. So, you know, I like this. It's fun. I'd probably play it every time I play Parks, just because you can teach Parks and add this in, and it's not going to make somebody's head explode, because it's really not that much different. It doesn't change the game a ton. Just gives you a little more decision space to make when you're moving down the trail. But on that note, I might say I was a little bit disappointed in what this did add to the game, because I thought it was going to change the game more than it did. So I don't know. I guess I was expecting the campsites to be more powerful, or it to really add some different mechanism to the game, which it doesn't really. It's still moving down the trail, and when you get to a campsite, maybe going down and taking the campsite action. But half the time, you're probably not even going to take that campsite action, because you really need to do it on the trail to be able to have tokens that you need to go visit the park. So yeah, it's there. Yeah, it's fine. But I don't know. I just wanted it to be more. Not a problem in the game, more on my expectations. So you can take that for what you will, but I wanted to point it out. But I'm going to give this a BGM accepted seal. Not normally something I do for expansions. Usually I just go with the base game, and then, hey, whatever that rating has, this will probably bump it up maybe a half a point or something. But I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10 on BGG, which is a 3.75 out of 5 wrenches on our arbitrary wrench scale. That means absolutely nothing, but we give it to games that we enjoy. And Parks is definitely a game that we enjoy. And this expansion definitely enhances it. Doesn't change it a ton, basically kind of gives it more stuff, which is always fun. So just more stuff to look at, more beautiful pictures, more beautiful art, which is cool. So that was Parks Nightfall, an expansion to Parks from Keymaster Games. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and as always, keep gaming.